Hello, is the mic on? Yeah. My name is Joakim, as you can probably read. I'm going to talk about and bring you through briefly through the opening titles you probably saw this morning. And if you've been here the past 3 years, if you include this year, you've been seeing opening titles crafted by me and the fine two gentlemen sitting on the second row here as well. I'm a freelance motion graphic artist, motion designer, animator, call it whatever you want. Let's see, I'm going to just show you a quick reel of the stuff I do, so you get a better picture of what I do. Yeah, so that's what I do on a daily basis. The team, because it's not only me who made the opening titles this morning, as I said, it's also Espen and Christian here on the first row, second row maybe. And also we have a guy in Oslo named Are, who is our sound designer. So this is us. This is in our office. We share an office, even though we operate as two different companies. We share an office and we collaborate whenever we think is smart to do so, whenever the opportunity comes. Christian just got a point-and-shoot one-time camera, which he likes to take monthly pictures with. So this is like something he did. Whatever. Next slide. Yeah, if you were here the past couple years, I'm going to show a quick reel of how the opening titles looked in 2023, 24, and this morning. So I have like 30 seconds of each, so let's play them. So yeah, that was the 3 years. I see that the time is running pretty quick as well, so I better get on. The first year, we actually won something called Visuelt Award, and that's kind of like the Gullruten or Oscar or Grammy or whatever for graphic design and communication here in Norway. We were up against NRK, the broadcaster in Norway, and for Snøfall, their opening sequence on TV, and up against Eliteserien in football, also on TV. So we were sitting there in the audience thinking like, oh, we're the we're the underdogs. To our big surprise, we won. We did not have any speech prepared, but we winged it. So it was fun to see the faces of NRK and those when we went up there. So, leading up to that, the second year, we had a lot of creative freedom the first year as well. But second year, I think like the committed like, okay, just do your thing. We trust you guys now. Which was, I think they trusted us the first year as well. But it was also kind of hard to like be given that much creative freedom, and like you have a brand to work with. But they also told us like, we want something fresh, we want something new, but with our brand on it. And yeah, we had regular meetings. Here you can see part of the TDC committee and Christian there on a Slack huddle. Which we had quite often, not that often, but often enough. Quickly, for those who are curious, what software do we use? I don't know if there's any people who care about software here. We use Slack and Gmail, of course, for communication, Notion, Dropbox, and Google Drive for project and file management. We have a big dispute in the office, like Dropbox versus Google Drive. So if everybody who prefer Dropbox can raise their hand. One hand? What the fuck? And then who prefer Google Drive then? Okay, you guys can leave the room, I think. I'm the Dropbox guy, at least. We use Pinterest. Pinterest is not dead, by the way. It's pretty huge, and we use Milanote for mood boards and stuff like that. Christian is using Figma. I don't use Figma. We also use Photoshop for most, or like different other things. And I mainly work in Cinema 4D and After Effects. And then same with Espen. And then we have Cavalry down on the right there for animation, which Christian is using, which is quite a cool software as well. This is our starting point. We start by making some inspiration, drawing inspiration, making a Pinterest board. I see that time is running, yep. So we gather a lot of inspiration, figuring out what's done before, what other people are doing, what other people are not doing, what we would like to do, what we would not like to do, and try to like fit it within the brand's guidelines and how we feel that this year's TDC should look. Of course, we're not coders, so we need to like tap into like your thing without actually knowing how to write code. So then we dive into what we call R&D, research and development. Essentially, we try to dedicate as much time to that as possible, especially on this project where it's so much creative freedom. There is not like set like, hey, make this for us. Like we've been giving a very open brief. So then we dedicate a lot of time to research and development. Essentially just doing things, spending time. Time is not wasted just playing around, making weird stuff, trying to come up with new ideas. This year, the big theme was the rubber duck, or rubber ducking. So the first thing we did was like, okay, let's take a duck and just do shit with it. Try to make it codey, graphic-y, not too complicated. This was something I tried to do, which ended up being scrapped. It was too digital, like too glossy, I guess. So we ended up more in this directions. It was kind of like how we, and this is just a select few of the experiments, which was done over the course of several weeks. Random noise.mp4. Random noise 2. Yep. So this is kind of like where we saw the trend, or like saw where we wanted to head. Fuck around. That's also like R&D, research and development, but fucking around is also like a term which we every year we go to a conference, much like this one, just a lot bigger actually, in Barcelona for motion design. And last year's theme, I'm actually wearing their t-shirt, and it said fuck around until you find out. And that's essentially what we do. And this guy on the internet is he have it figured out. So let's listen to him.
Right, today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. That there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful. Thank you.
So let's be like that guy. Yeah, and also a thing I did very early on, the speaker portraits. Every speaker, we had our portraits, which you might have seen on social media and stuff. Every speaker was tasked, the simple task, to send in a minimum 1,000 by 1,000 pixel image of themselves, headshot. And you should think that developers would be able to do that, but that was incredibly hard for a lot of people, actually. They look like this in the end. They did not look like this when they were sent in, because there was all kinds of different aspect ratios. And I'm just demoing how I ended up making my own portrait, which I essentially applied to everybody else. My portrait was quite easy to work with, but some other portraits were not so easy to work with. But essentially we cropped them into squares and then desaturate them. Not necessarily actually, but I did so. Remove background. I'm just going to speak over it, but here's the magic. Go to image size and then resize them very small, but then choose nearest neighbor hard edges. Normally it's on automatic for people who work in Photoshop, and then you get a pixelated image. But now it's tiny. And then you save as web. That's also an old standard in Photoshop. But then you have this option here to load in this color table file. Bit not so nerdy, but you can make those swatches. And then this is the TDC profile pictures, not profile colors, I mean. Save them out. You still will get this stamp-sized images, which is not usable for anything. But then you reopen them in Photoshop again. Tiny, size them up, and then you essentially just reverse the process. And then you'll see I can actually now scale this image up to whatever size I want, actually, but here I chose 4K. And then you get, it's wrong to call it vector, but it's essentially upscaled to as big as you essentially want and keeping crisp pixelated effects. This was actually a technique I came up with during last year's R&D sessions, which ended up being scrapped, but then it came into good use this year. So yeah, that was how we worked around and ended up making those cool images, I would say, which also we hoped would fit the brand, because this was made, I don't know, in May maybe, way before we started with the intros. So we kind of like had to nail those before we started anything else. Storyboarding, I'm going to go quickly through it. It's ugly, it doesn't need to be pretty at all, but it's an essential part. This is the Milanote board we had for the project. It's pretty rough, and this is actually how it looked in the end, not in the beginning. So congrats to everybody who was working with us and understood our vision based on this thing. Here's actually a fun little drawing that Christian drew during a meeting, and it actually ended up on one of the stickers you can find in the hallways, or it was actually drawn in Milanote during a meeting. So storyboards doesn't need to be pretty, they just need to portray what you want to make. Sound design, I'm going to run really quickly because time is running. We work with Are in Oslo. This is Are. We like to include him as early as possible in the process because we think that sound designers are way better in rhythm than visual artists. They can make a beat, they can make the rhythm. So we include him at the beginning. And then he doesn't need to make a perfect thing at the beginning, he just needs to set our pace. And then we work with him through the project, and he revisions his own music and stuff while we work on it. While I think a lot of other studios and people, they include, or like sound often gets down prioritized because of budgets, or just get included in the end of the project, which we think is a shame. And then now I'm going to go into a live demo, which I have 3.5 minutes left. I was hoping to have more time to do that. But, yep. Here is After Effects, pretty old software which we love to hate. This is a gradient actually, this is a rig which Espen came up with. I'm not gonna take the pride for this, but we ended up using this on essentially everything for this year's titles. You have a gradient, or essentially just ones and zeros for you coders. 0 is probably black and 1 is white, as far as I'm concerned. Or 255, which is the color code for if you work in RGB. So when you look at this, it's mapped over to a bunch of different sized squares right now. If you see down here in the layers panel, we have a lot of layers. And then I can change the pixel size in the rig to 2 or 4 or essentially whatever we want. It's better to have it at 4 maybe to see it on the screen here. Then I have all these little tabs, which it says bokstav 1, 2, 3, and so on. And inside those we have a different sized box, essentially. But if I then change the box number 5 to a hashtag or whatever you call this sign, then you can see all of those get switched out. You can do this to, you can write whatever you want in this, actually, of course. And then you will get a whole different pattern here. If I downsize this to 2 maybe. But then what if you feed something else than just a boring gradient in here? Then you can feed a 3D animation, which now looks like this, which was from the original titles. They're actually inverted because, yeah, whatever. We just had to invert them. But then it looks like this. Now it's quite big pixel size, but if you set them to 1, and then After Effects is pretty slow in ramp previewing, but you can see that then you get whatever you're actually feeding into that rig is then being pixelated into this whatever size you choose. And here you can change color. If I want to have it purple, I can make it purple, and so on. So we essentially made a lot of weird stuff and just fed it through this rig. And that turned out to be our solution for this year's graphics. I'm going to show one. If you take this thing, and then you have this little white spot, and you get this thing. Now I'm going to impress all of you coders with writing a little bit code here. Look at me. Let's see if this works. Wow. And then if you go over here, you can see it's pretty slow to preview, but look at me, I'm a coder. I think my time is up actually. So yeah, play. Maybe we have time for 2 questions. or thank you. Anyone have a question? No? Yeah. What? How do you get started if you want to do something like this? You fuck around. No, download some cool software, I guess. Play around with it. Yeah, I guess we studied some kind of animation way back, but I don't think it's necessary. There's a lot of resources online, but of course, school is also good, but not, yeah. How do you want to, yeah, just make stuff, do stuff. Don't sleep, stay up late. I don't know. Was that good enough, or? Yeah? Anyone else? Nope. Then, see you in the bar.